This is WT for TST, and today I'm honoured to be joined by El Mongoose, Willie Monroe.
What's going on?
How you doing, mate?
Doing good in yourself?
Yeah, very well, mate. Very well. It's a bit colder here though than I think where you are in Florida. I've got
Yeah.
look out my window here, and I've got a bit of decking. It's all snow covered there, snow
Oh,
covered
man.
all the grass. It's freezing, mate.
I haven't seen snow in 2 winters.
That's because you don't live in New York anymore. You've got over there. We'll talk about that
Yeah.
later. So, mate, first time on TST, what we like to do is go back. It's a little bit like a short version of your life, really. Go back to your childhood, really.
Right.
How that was for you, about school, how all that stuff was. And for you, you were born in Rochester, New York.
Yep. Upstate New York, born and raised.
Tell us about it. What was that like growing up in New York?
It was dope. It was dope. All the things that, bigger city, you know what I mean? Lots of people, you know what I mean? Cool places. Everybody know my story and in terms of like where I'm from, you know what I mean? We know I'm from a different area as far as like, roughness, but we made it out, you know what I mean? And we took, you know, what we had and made the best of it, and it's allowed us to create a secure future for ourselves. So it wasn't as bad as people may think, but it's a beautiful town. I love my city.
How different is that divide then from, I guess, from what people say, the Bronx to upstate? Is it as bad as what people say? I've never been to New York. It's on the list. Is it as bad as what?
It's just it's all about who you are and who you hang around, you know what I mean, and who you decide to do business with or have any type of dealings with. It's just like any other city. Every city has its good parts and its bad parts. You have your have and your have nots. You're rich and you're poor, you know what I mean. So we know what side I came from, but what I mean, I don't want to say like it's a bad city. What I like to say is it's just like any other city, and like I said, we took the best of what we had and made it work for us.
So what was school like for you then? Was that?
School was cool. I went to public school. I went to 2 public schools, at elementary and middle school. But as a high schooler, I went to a performing arts school. So that was a little different. I went to a performing arts school, for vocal music and piano. So me and my brother, and then my younger sister, she got in. So we all went to a performing arts school. We did a bunch of things like huge ensembles. We did the play Ragtime, the Wiz. I got to sing background for Barry Manilow when I was like 16 years old. Yeah. Wow. So high school was different because I was in a performing arts school, and then from there, I went to a community college before turning pro in boxing. So. School was a journey for me, I would say.
What I'm trying to put together here is performing arts, piano. I think you said, right, to boxing. Wow, what a difference. So, do you want to be a musician then? Did you, or is that what you want to do?
I mean, at its fundamental, core, it's all the same thing. You know what I mean? When you look at what we've made music and then what we've attached to boxing. So I had an R&B group, and when I would tell different people I have a performance coming up, because I'm a fighter, they automatically assume that I was a rapper. And I'm like, yo, I can't rap a sandwich, much less a song. But they were like mind boggled to see that a fighter could sing. And I grew up in church singing, and then just my background being Black and Cuban, that's all of the rhythm you need right there. So everything in boxing and music is rhythmic. Everything goes together. The basis of it at its fundamental core is the same. You know what I mean? So a lot of people see the contrast and like, how are you a fighter and a singer, or a fighter and a musician? And they don't understand that like it's all like fundamentally the same thing. It's just the way you apply it.
Yeah, I've never looked at it like that. I guess it is. It's all rhythmistic. Yeah. So you still sing now? Then you still do your stuff?
No, I haven't sung since like maybe 2011 when the group broke up. But music was my second passion. My brother that was in my group, me and him formed our group. he's doing well in LA right now. I mean, he's, riding with such people, people such as Chris Brown and Eric Bellinger. He has his own production crew out there. So he took the music thing, and, when the group broke up, me and my brother looked at each other like, yo, we're brothers. We can't break up. You know what I mean? So I was just like, look, I'm not going to sing anymore. I'm just going to fight. Cause we, all the way until my 11th professional fight, the group was together. So there were times where like I would be rehearsing and training at the same time. I had no time to do any other things. I would leave training and go straight to rehearsal. Sometimes leave the studio and go straight to training. So, like once the group broke up, I was just like, look, it's kind of heavy to try to balance, two careers, and I had met my now wife, but girlfriend at that point. And, I just was like, music is, I love music. I still sing. But if I had to choose, I'd rather be in the ring beating somebody up than on stage. And my brother said, don't worry, because we're going to get our Grammy and our world title between both of us. So.
No, it's fine. So let's go into a bit of boxing now then. So your dad was a boxer, yeah?
What's that?
Your dad was a boxer, yeah?
Yep, my father was a boxer, yep.
Is that how you ultimately got into boxing then?
Yeah, watching my dad on TV. I saw my dad on like Tuesday night fights and on ESPN. And when I was a kid, and I used to, when my dad would come to town, you know what I mean? I was raised by my grandparents. So when my dad would come to town, it was like, he was like a star, you know what I mean? And I wanted that. So seeing my dad on TV and seeing how popular he was, and just knowing that my family was known for being, great athletes and great fighters, like my great uncle beat Marvin Hagler. So, looking at that and knowing that my family was known and held at a high esteem in those regards, just made me want to do it more.
How old were you at that point then when you were watching your dad on telly?
I was like 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6. I started when I was like 6. I started boxing when I was like 6, so I had to be like 5 years old seeing my dad on TV.
That was nuts. Like I can't think what that would be like from like a 5, 6-year-old going, oh, my dad's on telly, then he'll pop round and see us after or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're like, I've just seen you on telly. It'd be hard to understand.
Just in that magical box I was watching. Now you're in my living room. Yeah.
That's what I mean. As a kid, I bet that was quite hard. So did he take you? Did you end up going to like around with him in terms of like your gyms, amateur gyms and stuff, or?
Yeah, I went to some gyms with my dad, but my grandfather, my father's father, they raised me because, at the point in my dad's career when I was born, my dad, just kind of tough for him at that point in his life to be a father and, pursue a boxing career. And him and my mother weren't together. So my grandparents, I fell on my grandparents' lap, and my grandfather's the one who really like introduced me to boxing and, woke me up and took me to the gym, and, it took me to the gym for my very first time, taught me how to throw my first punches,
Wow. I just expect it to be your dad, I guess. I guess most people think that. No, it's good, mate. So so you had a really good amateur career, didn't you?
Yeah, I had 142 amateur fights, 128 wins, 14 losses.
I love the fact that you just know it. Boom, boom, boom. Yes. But you did Golden Gloves you won, didn't it?
Yeah, I won the Golden Gloves. I won the Empire State Games. We won the nationals, junior nationals, senior nationals. I had 3 national titles. We won one international title. We were all over the place.
So your debut was the 27th of March, 2008. Now,
right.
To me, that's 4 days before my eldest daughter was born. Now, she's coming up 13. That's a hell of a long time ago. Right. How well do you remember the debut? It was in your hometown, yeah? Mm-hmm. What did that feel like, and how well did you remember it?
Man, I was nervous because it was just like going back home and fighting. And I was fighting a guy who was from I think he was from Nicaragua or something. And he was a national champion in his country, a national amateur champion. So I was like, man, they're not giving me an easy one like they give everybody else. You know what I mean? I got to fight this guy who's a national champion in his country as an amateur. And, but it was blissful, man, because, my whole family was there. The crowd turnout was pretty well. And it was different because no headgear, no shirt. The judges were different. The rules in the dressing room were totally different. So, It was an experience. I say that, a good one too.
So you got through that, and I'm going to fast forward a little bit here, but I'm going to go forward another 10 fights because you were undefeated at that point. And then you stepped into the ring with a guy called Darnell Boone, or Boone.
Right.
Talk to us about that one. That didn't go as to plan, did it?
No, it went as a plan. It didn't go as to my plan, but it went as a plan that, I guess, nothing, no mistakes are ever made on the God's plan. But I mean, it was one of those fights. It was a split decision where, a lot of people thought, I won. Some people thought he won, but I didn't get the nod. So, I mean, that's just what comes with boxing. I think it was just a test of my fortitude and my real want. Everyone in this game has a different walk. You look at Bernard Hopkins, he's looked at one of the greatest. A lot of people don't know that he lost his very first professional fight. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He didn't start off on an undefeated track. You know what I mean? He started off with a loss. So, it's not about how you start or in the middle. It's about how you finish. And, with that, it just made me want to train harder. It made me want to focus more. It made me, it taught me a lot of lessons about people. You know what I mean? Because, when you're up, people are with you. And when you're down, you see just how many people walk away from you. And, it shows you how, weak-minded some people are because, sometimes you wonder, like, if I'd have had 10 losses and then won one, would you be all down for me? And the answer would still be no. So it's, I had 10 wins and lost a split decision to a guy who that was my 11th professional fight. This guy had like 37 professional fights at this time. And 4 opponents had pulled out before then. So I was like, look, I got to fight this guy. He's the only guy that hasn't pulled out. So, it taught me a lot. It matured me. It helped with my maturation as a man. It helped with my maturation as a fighter, and as a top contender, as a champion. So, it was an unfavorable moment when it happened, just as the Triple G and the Jo Saunders were. They were unfavorable moments when they happened, but every unfavorable moment has a seed of equivocal benefit. So it's all about how you take that and use it. And obviously I took that and used it well. I mean, we were training out of a garage and I won, I think 5 after the Darnell Boone fight. A friend of mine, I moved back home and we took his garage and turned it into a makeshift gym. And that's how hungry we were. And we got a heavy bag from like Craigslist. It wasn't even a real heavy bag. It was like the MMA canvas bag that you get out of like Walmart. We couldn't even afford the Walmart when we had to get it off Craigslist for like $35. And, we would use coupons from like the Ringside magazine or like the Everlast magazine or the Title magazines. And we would use the coupons and buy equipment for the gym. And we furnished a little 2.5 car garage into a full gym. And it gets cold up there in the wintertime. And, we all were working separate, 9 to 5s. And we all put money into, fuel, the propane heaters for the gym to be warm. And it was a hunger. We found a way. And for 5 fights, we fought out of a garage with a double M bag, a tire. Didn't even have a speed bag. We had a tire. You know how you have the uppercut bag, the big wrecking ball? Yeah. We didn't have one. So we took a tire and drilled holes in it and hung it from a chain. And then we took a double M bag. So we had a double M bag, an MMA bag from Walmart, and a double M bag that we got from Everlast, and the tire. And we would just do round robin. We would get in there every night. We would do our stretches, warm up, and then we would do 4 rounds a piece and then just rotate on each bag. And we fought 5 fights out of that garage with it was no ring in there. We had no sparring. We didn't spar. And we just went on the road and fought guys on the road in their backyard with just conditioning, hard work, and skill. And then we made it to the Boxino thing.
That was the next bit, actually. So Boxino event, ESPN. How did all that come about? Just because you'd come back with victories?
Well, we were on a winning streak, and wait a minute, I lied. So I did spar, but I didn't have like speculative sparring for an opponent. When I was getting ready for my opponent, there was no sparring. But in between those, I made money going to camp with Randall Bailey, Miguel Cotto, Austin Trout. That was a real fun camp. I got to camp with these guys. Not only was I able to make money, to take care of my family, I was able to learn because I was training with these guys as champions. I was training with Miguel Cotto. I learned a lot next to Pedro Diaz. I was training with Austin Trout and Louis Burke. I learned a lot next to them. Randall Bailey, one of the hardest right-handed punchers in the game. I learned a lot with him down here in Florida. In between that time, I learned and picked up, and my name started circulating in the boxing game a little bit because not only were we won 5 fights on the road, you know, different camps of being in the camp like Miguel Cotto and Austin Trout, word got around that like, yo, this kid is, you know, the real deal. So that opened up the doors for Boxino for me.
So then you start in the Boxino talk. It's a little bit like the Super Series is now, isn't it?
What's that?
It's a bit like what the World Boxing Super Series. It's kind of like that, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of like that. But it was single elimination. So like once you lost, you were out. It was no you could come back or you had a certain amount of points. Like once you lost, you were out. It was single elimination.
So you quite convincingly beat Brian Vera in the final, didn't you?
Well, the finals was Brandon Adams. Brian Vera was where I.
Sorry, semi, wasn't it? Semi. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so we fought Donatas Bondaroves, Vitaly Kopalenko, and then Brandon Adams in the finals. And then after we won Boxino, we came back 7 months later and fought Brian Vera and Turning Stone. And that actually the anniversary for that fight just passed 2 days ago.
I saw that when I was looking, actually.
Yeah.
He was good, though. So if you think about the Brian Vera fight,
right,
then you went into Golovkin, yeah?
Right.
How good was Golovkin?
Golovkin was really good. He was obviously he's very skilled, you know what I mean? The thing that I learned about Golovkin is what you see from the outside is different from the inside because he doesn't do much, you know, from when you're looking from the outside, he doesn't do much of what we would perceive as skillful fighter. Everything he does is more subtle. It's more he's not like put it like this, you could look at like a Andre Berto or a Floyd or a Roy, you know, when they fight and be like, all right, you know they're fast. You know what I mean? Or myself, you could say, okay, you know this guy's fast. Triple G isn't particularly fast, but he's very, very he's fast, but he's not particularly quick, is what I'm saying. And he has like impeccable timing. So it's sort of like the punches that hurt you are the ones you don't see coming. And he's very fundamentally sound, you know what I mean? So like those things you have to like, those things are things you won't pick up from the outside. He's a complete fighter, obviously. That's obvious.
Yeah, but I mean, to speak to someone that's been in there with him, you know, because everybody says he's great, you know, but
right.
Actually you've been in with him, you know how good he is.
Yeah.
But that was it. Then you came back and you beat after that you beat Gabe Rosado, didn't you?
Right. I fought John Thompson and then Gabe Rosado.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Gabe Rosado fight was you know, everybody knows the story. I took that fight on like a 3.5 week notice and came in and upset the apple cart because they were like, you know, the winner of this fight will get Canelo in December. And excuse me, I didn't get Canelo, even though I won. And
was there any talks? Was there any talks about that, or was it just? Do you think it was just for him?
No, well, contracts were signed.
Right.
You know, there were contracts, and when looking back, I'm happy that the fight didn't happen then because what the fight was worth and what I would have gotten back then under the promotional banner and the management I was under back then. And then when you compare that to the management I'm under now, I mean, I'm glad I didn't take the fight then. Like, it's definitely more money and more opportunity in fighting Canelo now than it would have been back then. So it's a blessing.
But after the Rosado fight, that got you Billy Joe, yeah?
Actually, it didn't get me Billy Joe.
Okay.
So do you understand that I fought Billy Joe Saunders a year after I fought Gabe Rosado?
Yeah, there was a bit of a gap. Yeah. Go on.
It took a whole year. So like, you know, I'm gonna give you some intel right here. Like sometimes when in boxing, winning can set you back. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't slated to win against, you know, Gabe Rosado that night, and I did. And not only did I win, it wasn't even close. It wasn't you know what I mean, something that you could say, well, maybe they should. It was like, no, Willie Monroe clearly outclassed him that night. I got put on the bench. And then the WBO Intercontinental was stripped from me. And they said, well, what we'll do is we'll give you a, this was like, I remember I was in Texas. It was Super Bowl weekend, 2017, the Super Bowl. And I got a call and they were like, pretty much, we're going to strip you of the WBO Intercontinental because we want to use that belt for Curtis Stevens and David Lemieux when they fought. So if you go back to David Lemieux and Curtis Stevens when they fought that night, they fought for the WBO Intercontinental. So they were like, you know, I don't know why I didn't get a chance to fight one of those guys, being that I had the belt. And they said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to move you up in the rankings and as far as the WBO, the full belt, you know what I mean? Because you got the full belt, which Billy Joe Saunders had at that time. So then I thought I was going to get a shot at Billy Joe Saunders. I look around, Avtendil Hortsitse got the shot. And I'm like, wait a minute, yo, I relinquished the belt. I didn't cry about it. It was business. You guys said I would get Billy Joe Saunders next. Now he's fighting Avtendil Hortsitse. The only reason why I got that fight is because he got caught on a RICO charge and because he was, what was he doing? He was like racketeering, had some like racketeering charge or something. So the only reason why I wound up getting the Billy Joe Saunders fight was simply because Avtendil Hortsitse. It was never in the plans to like move me and get me a world title shot because I wasn't originally supposed to beat Gabe Rosado. So, you know, and that's how the politics work in this game. But I mean, I'm grateful for it. I mean, I guess you could see that's why the things that were done when I was in the UK were done and business was handled the way it was handled. I guess they already saw that this guy knows how to come in and upset the apple cart. So we got to really, you know, dig into him and bear into him, you know, before the fight and make it difficult so he doesn't repeat that same thing over here, you know. And I get it. It's money, it's boxing, it's politics. You know what I mean? People always say, why do boxers say, you know, boxing is all politics? That's just an excuse. I'm like, bro, there's a red and a blue corner. Like, that's Democrat and Republican. Like, that's in bloods, bro. Like, there's nothing more political than red and blue. You know what I mean? Like, there's a red and a blue corner. There's judges. There's a referee. You know what I mean? Like, it's political down to the court.
So how much notice did you get for the Billy Joe then in the end?
I think it was, let's see. So we fought September. We signed a contract the last week of July. We fought. So I think it was like a 6 to 7 week notice. We had time. It was a 7 week notice.
And how did you rate your performance that night afterwards?
I just felt like I should have did more. You know, everything I wanted to do. If you go back and watch the fight, it was a close fight. Everything I wanted to do, I did. I just should have did more. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. It wasn't like you know, skill was missing or speed was missing or power was missing. Every time I applied and fought, I got the best of them. I just didn't do it enough. And when you come into another guy's country, you can't come into another guy's country and just box to a decision. You know what I mean? You have to really dismantle him. And I understood that I understood the risk going in. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and act as if I didn't understand the risk going in. I understood that if I went over there and didn't completely dominate him, that I wasn't going to win. I understood that. But it was something that I was willing to jump to. I'm not scared of nobody. I'm not scared to jump to another challenge and go over to another country, which other guys won't do. You know what I mean? Most guys won't do, unless you got to look at the fact I was signed to a small promotional company like with Banner Promotions. You know, I wasn't signed to like an Al Heyman or Bob Arum that if this guy comes over to your country, we know he has protection. You know, I was signed to a little like, you know, like B-level promoter as opposed to, you know, Frank Warren. So we had to do what we were told, you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? Like it was a bunch of stuff that, you know, I deem as unfair, but it's just the B-side. That's just when you're on the B-side. And I understand that I have no qualms about it. I'm not mad about it because, you know what I mean? Like I said, God doesn't make mistakes. And I think, you know, everything that I dealt with over in London, and I dealt with it in a professional way. You know what I mean? I think the universe, you know, truly rewards that type of discipline and understanding. So, you know what I mean? You never know where, you know, your rewards lie. You know, it may happen to you this year and you know, things may not pick up for you until 3.5 years later. You know what I mean? 2 years later. You know what I mean? Like, people look at bad thing, you know, a loss or something like that, when it happens, it's like, oh, it's over. Like, nah, you know, that there's a seed of equivocal benefit there. I learned something there, you know?
Could be the beginning, mate. I mean, I think your reward, you're living in Florida, mate. Come on.
Right, exactly. I'm living in Florida. This pandemic hit. I was able to make it down to Florida before the pandemic hit. I didn't, obviously none of us knew about the pandemic, but I made it down here, you know, maybe 9 months before the pandemic, you know, really hit. And, you know, we've been good. You know, we've been blessed to be able to be a little more free down here. And it's no snow, no snow. So now it's beautiful. My family loves it. We're at Universal every other day.
Oh, I was going to say, mate. So, last time we went to Florida, it was 2018. We were just talking off camera, weren't we, about you getting mates rates because you live there, and that you were going to sort us out some tickets cheaper next time. Yeah.
Right.
On camera. It's on camera. So listen, just go quickly back to the boxing just for a little bit. So you last fought June 2019 then. Obviously with the pandemic and everything, you know, not everyone's been able to get out. What is next for you? What's in the plans?
I just know we're signed to a dope management company, man, who's definitely doing a lot to make sure Willie Monroe is, you know, my name is obviously we saw, you know, last year with the Canelo running, we were very deep in the Canelo running, you know, next to Callum Smith, and obviously with the business being what it is, and then being with DAZN, that was a more logical choice for money and prestige. So I get it, but you know, for my management for me to not have fought that long, and my management to put me in a key position like that, you know, you see what's being done. So all I can do is stay ready and honor, you know, the disciplines that come along with my dream. And then you have Split T, you know what I mean? They managed, you know, Teofimo Lopez, you know what I mean? Obviously, that's a great management team. You see how well he's done. Mm-hmm. So we're riding a good train right now, just working and staying ready like we've done our whole career.
Stay ready. Right, mate, that's it for us. So we've got we always finish with a few questions, if you don't mind, from the followers and the viewers.
Okay.
I'll read them as they wrote.
Okay.
Yeah. Barry wants to know, I guess this is probably because, again, you've been in with both, but who wins in your opinion, Billy Joe or Triple G?
They both are dope fighters. At this point, because Triple G, I mean, you know, before Canelo, I would have definitely said Triple G. But, you know, at this point in Triple G's career, where he's a little older, you know what I mean, a little more shot worn, you know, it's more like a 50-50 now, you know, more like a 50-50. And that's not a knock on Billy Joe Saunders, but, you know, we all know that, you know, Triple G as a middleweight probably could have, you know, existed in any era of boxing as a good middleweight, you know, as a great middleweight. So, you know, we can't take that away from him. Billy Joe hasn't really proven that yet, you know. So, but he is a phenomenal boxer. So right now, with Triple G being in the position he's in, I would say 50-50.
All right, mate. Trent wants to know, what plans do you have when you finish boxing? Is it back to the music?
My brother's. Actually, man, well, I've had a few movie roles, so I'm good with that.
What have you been in?
Well, we did. My face doesn't show up in the movie, but we were in Southpaw for other reasons. Another actor that was
great film. I love it.
Another actor that was part of the movie sort of stunted some things. So, but I still got paid. I still get, you know, a check 3 times a year from that movie. So it's beautiful. I'll probably be in the next Creed though. but honestly, man, it's just my education. I'll say this. Right now the world isn't open. And as men, you know, men go out into the world and earn the dollar, but the world isn't open. And like lately, man, I've been just the investment of family and my wife. Like, my wife is handling a lot of things right now. She has a lot of credentials and license and education, you know, on the side of, you know, of what I've done as a fighter. She's a very educated female who's created a strong lane for us with her education. So she's really leading me right now. So I'm more or less following what she's doing and picking up from what she's doing and what the like investments and stuff that we both made in the past when I was fighting, you know, certain places put money, certain places to look into things, certain people we've invested into. They're starting to show that they were great investments. You know what I mean? So when you got two minds working together, it's always better than one.
Absolutely.
So I'm leaning on those intelligent investments, and you know, once boxing is over, those things will save me. Not save me, but those things will keep me abundant, I would say.
In Florida.
Yeah. In Florida, you know what I mean? Freedom.
Des wants to know, it's a bit of a strange one, this, but who's your best friend in boxing?
I have, you know, I'll give you this, because this two people have asked me that. I would say my best friend, I have a couple best friends in boxing in respect of their positions. As far as people that I fought, who I'm like very close with, is Brandon Adams. Like, you know, I mean, that's a good friend. Me and him talk on the phone all the time. He's a real good person, you know, real nice guy, real humble guy. You know, I mean, I would never fight him again because we're just too close. You know, my boy Ryan Recton, Ryan Recton, I said he's gonna kill me for butchering his name, because and it's an insider. He's gonna kill me for butchering his name, but you know, he's along with Split T, and he's you know, he's the one that's been like he's the gears in between me and Split T that are allowing big opportunities to come. A lot of big sponsors have come and jumped on board because of him. He's a great friend of the family. You know, he's a very smart individual, and he's proven to me that investments that I've made are smart. So great friend to have. And I would say my best friend in boxing, like, you know, like in boxing, is probably my little brother, Tommy Logan. It's a fighter, lightweight fighter out here, like, because me and him have had the same road. And I just watched this kid, you know, I mean, former like 4-time amateur national. Man, we talk about all the conceivable skills a guy could have. This kid is phenomenal. But I've seen him really have to get up from some turmoil and political stuff in this boxing thing and move forward. And, you know, I've assisted him, but he's also a mere reflection that the things that I believe in are true. And so, like, my closest friend, like, in boxing overall, not just in a respectful position, probably be my little brother, Tommy Logan. Real close.
Good stuff. And last question, and it's the most important question I'm going to ask you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
What are your top 3 chocolate bars?
Oh, man. So my top 3 chocolate bars, I'm going to go with Snickers.
Ooh, what, number 1 or number 3?
Huh?
1 or 3? Which order are you going?
It's going to be, if I'm going to put it like this. Number 1 and 2 would be Snickers or Butterfinger. Those two would be. All right. And my third.
Mate, everybody thinks about this so long. It's great. You boxers love chocolate.
I'll probably say Kit Kat.
Kit Kat original, a classic.
Yeah.
Classic. Right, mate, just before we finish, have you what, sorry?
I like Almond Joy every once in a while, too. Because I like coconut. I like Almond Joy every once in a while. But Snickers, Butterfingers, and Kit Kats, yeah. Top 3.
Right, just before we finish, mate, have you got anything to say to the viewers?
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for rocking out with me. I want to thank everyone who's been hitting the Brick by Brick website. The link is in my bio. Let me shameless plug right here. But I want to thank all of the fans that have been like truly, like, I'll look up, I'll go into my email and look and be like, I have 4 or 5 buys this day. And I'm like, I didn't know people were, like, still rocking, because I haven't fought in almost 2 years. I didn't know people were still rocking with me as a fighter like that. So it's a lot of people getting Brick by Brick gear. And then when they get their gear, they send pictures. So I like to thank the fans for that, because that's keeping me up. You know what I mean? It's keeping me up mentally.
You can send me some of them, can't you?
Got you.
Willie Monroe, thank you very much for your time, mate. We'll catch up again soon, yeah?
God bless you, man. See you guys later.
Take care, mate.